Hey guys, it's Janie. Welcome back to the Bookworms, buddy. It is time for my September wrap-up. Wow, end of September. It's over, gone, and now we have October. Yay! Anyway, I read 10 books in the month of September, which was really, really good for me, considering I've been reading the Outlander series, and it takes a little bit longer to get through one of those books. But yes, 10 books, so let's just get started. The very first book, I don't have it right now. I had to return to the library, and that is Don't Look Back by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I saw this book had really good ratings, and it's been, since the book was popular, it's been a long time. And I just don't fall into the hype of a book. I just wait till the hype falls down, and then I can just pick it up and read it. Well, they had it there at the library. I decided to grab it. I knew it had good ratings and good reviews. You got the story of Sam, and her best friend Cassie end up disappearing. Well, Sam resurfaces, and she does not remember a thing, who she is, what's happened, or any of that stuff. And she starts getting little bits and pieces about what really happened to her and Cassie, and the story goes on from there. Loved it. I rated this book a 5-star. Great little mystery, and I love Jennifer L. Armentrout's writing anyway, and this one was no different. I absolutely loved it. The next book that I read was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. According to a lot of people, this is required reading in school. I remember my niece a couple years ago had to read this in the summer before school started again because she was in an AR class. And so I was really looking forward to reading it because it was about, book bans and burning books and that kind of stuff, And I just really, it was just okay. It just didn't really grab me all that much. I felt like it was really unrealistic. And that's probably what it was meant to be, but there was just really, it was wrote weird to me. And I just didn't get it. I ended up rating this book 2 stars. So if those of you who liked it out there, sorry, but it just didn't do it for me at all. The next book I read was Meadowlands Kiss, and I got this from NetGalley for review. And again, I don't even really remember a whole lot about it. I just remember that there's this professor who is accused of killing this student named Madeline. And the one thing that really bothered me about this book was there was no investigation. This was just Professor Snow talking about, I think it was Snow, I don't remember. I think it was, yeah. He was just giving his story and how he didn't do it. And it just, there was no depth to the story at all, and I just really didn't enjoy it. I rated it 1 star. The next book I read was Fallen by Karen Slaughter. This is the continuation of the Will Trent series, and I absolutely love this series. I love Will. He's flawed and has issues, and he's really scarred, and there's even really twisted characters in this book that in turn makes Will seem kind of twisted. And it's just, it's a great mystery series. I'm not going to get into it because this is like book 5, I believe, in the series, and I don't want to give anything away. I know there's several of my booktube friends, Goodread friends, that are reading this series right now, and it just keeps getting better. I rated this book 5 stars. The next book I read was Between Shades of Grey, and this is by Ruta Sepetys, or Sepetys. I'm not sure how you say her last name. I read this book with Felicia over at Little Prairie Library. I'm not sure. We didn't really message each other all that much. I'm not sure if she got to the book or not. We put this off. We were supposed to read it, I believe, in July, and we put it off till September. This is set in 1930s, and you've got this family, Lena and her family. They get deported to a Siberia slave camp kind of thing. And this was the journey, their journey there. And what was really cool with this one, as soon as I get there, they actually had a map of their journey, and then also a time lapse kind of thing telling you at what point they were at what place and stuff. And it was just so good, and there was just some really heartbreaking parts of this book, and I absolutely loved it. It's a great historical. I rated this one 4 stars. The next one that we read was Ink Spell. This is by Cornelia Funk. This is book number 2 in the Ink Heart series. And this is a series about a dad who can read characters from a book. So he reads out loud and a character will come out of the book. And then someone or something goes into the story. So I have to say, for a middle grade series, it's really very complex. And you have to really pay attention. I don't know if maybe it's just me because I'm not used to like fantasy stories, but this is middle grade fantasy. Come on. It's really complex. It's a very good story that's being told here. And like, how can you not like a book about books? Yeah, so anyway, this is not light reading to me, and especially it being middle grade. I would have to move that up to young adult or up to adult even. The writing is fantastic. I love her poetic writing. She's a great author. If you want a really good fantasy story, choose this, even if you don't read middle grade books. This is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to reading Ink Death, which is the last book to this trilogy, and I'm going to be reading that this month. I'm reading this. I started out reading this with Rihanna Inkheart, and then my friend Mary from Goodreads wanted to join up, so now we're reading it together as well, and she's going to be joining me on Ink Death. It's a fantastic, very complex story. The next one I read was A Monster Calls. I had to take this book back to the library. This is by Patrick Ness, and I've been wanting to read this book, and this was part of my Pick 5 challenge that I'm doing with Shannon for the year, and I rated it 3 stars. This is a story about a young boy, Connor, who is dealing with his mother's illness, and he deals with this by way of a monster, and he has these nightmares where this monster is involved, and I guess it kind of roots him and keeps him at a point where, you know, he's not losing it. But this is how he deals with the illness of his mother, and the story just goes on from there. It's kind of a simple book. It's not really complex or anything. It's easy to follow. I just wish there would have been more to the story than what I got. There are some very heart-wrenching moments in the book that actually made me tear up and that kind of stuff. Like I said, I rated it 3 stars. It was still a good read. It's still worth reading. I just wish it kind of had a little bit more to it. Okay, so the next book that I read was Voyager. What can I say about this book? This is in this read-along we are doing, which I will link to. We're taking the whole month to read the book, so I managed to make these books last the whole month. So I just really don't know what else to say. The saga continues with Jamie and Claire and all of our, well, a lot of our characters from the past. And I'm just absolutely loving this series. I rated this 5 stars. I can't help myself. This is probably my favorite next to Outlander. Outlander was my favorite. So, yeah, this one I rated 5 stars. Okay, the next one I read, another book that I had to take back, and that was Amy and Roger's Epic Detour. This is by Morgan Matson, and this is another book that Shannon picked for me for the Pick 5 challenge, and I just decided I was going to the library and get the books so I could get them read. I didn't want to not follow through on this Pick 5 challenge with her. So, anyway, Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, Morgan Matson. was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I was a little leery about it, you know, because I knew a little bit about what the story was. You know, they're going on this road trip. I was like, how is this going to be, you know, good and stuff? And I loved it because it was not insta-love. There was none of that. There was no triangles, love triangles. It was just a really fun read. And it had a lot to say. And I just think it was written very well. I rated this 5 stars. I absolutely loved the book. And I really do want to own that one. And I recommend that book to really anybody who loves, you know, young adult romance, contemporary kind of stories. It really had a great story. And for the last book that I read, and I still have it, it is a library book, is Prisoner of Night and Fog, another book for the Pick 5 Challenge. This is by Anne Blankman. And this is a story about, this is in the 1930s, Munich. Gretchen and her family are in close relations with Adolf Hitler. Her father and Hitler had served together, and this is before Hitler gets into power, and Gretchen starts seeing things a little bit differently when she meets this young Jewish reporter. Things start to change in her mind and that kind of stuff, and that's just her story. And I just really enjoyed this. I've really been enjoying historicals lately, and I really enjoy this time period. I just think it was a really good read, and I'm so glad that I finally read it. I rated this 5 stars. It was fantastic. So if you get the chance to get a hold of this one to read it, you really should. Because one of the cool things about this story is our author was just intrigued by this era, and she took major facts and she wove in her own fictional story and made it a very believable story. And even some of the characters that are in this story were real. Some of them were not, but also there were some that were, and it just made the story really exciting to read. I really absolutely loved this one. And that is my wrap up for September with some great books. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments below. And you can find all of my written reviews on Goodread, on my blog. It's all going to be in the description box below, so you can go check out all of my written reviews too if you would like to. But thanks guys for staying tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.